All right, my friends, it's going to be a diatribe about why you shouldn't carry debt. You know, I was up there with Fritz today up in Blue Ridge, and just a wonderful experience. I loved it up there. And I asked him to start our live stream, you know, what he thought about paying off your mortgage versus the ARB he kept referring to, the ARB, arbitrage, of not paying off your mortgage and investing the money instead. And he said something I thought very interesting. He said, there's a feeling of less stress when you have no mortgage, and you go into retirement looking to reduce stress. I thought that was actually critical, and I had never really thought about it like that until he stated that. Now, I've always said, you know, you're hoping that you're going to get 7% on your money, your investment, and you're paying the bank 4% on your mortgage, so you're hoping you're going to net that 3% arbitrage. Bank loans it to you at 3, you get 7, that's your walking away, or bank loans it to you at 4, you get 7, you're walking away with 3%. That inherently doesn't appeal to me because the nature of the markets, they're volatile, they go up, they go down. But the way he said it was fascinating. The idea that the whole point of retiring is to reduce your stress. If you wanted stress, you might as well stay at work in your crappy old job because you're making money for the stress you're engaging in. But when you retire, whole point is you want to reduce your stress. You don't want all that stuff. So forget the spreadsheets and the arbitrage opportunity. How about just the lack of stress that comes with not having a debt? And so let me share with you an example here today for what happened to me just a few minutes ago. So I'm leasing this Dodge Durango, my wife and I. She drives it. We call it Moose. We like it. Lease comes up in March, and I go online yesterday. I was just curious what the payoff is because I've been paying a lot down towards it because I've had some positive cash flow because of you guys, which I'm much appreciative. I paid $5,000 a month to it over the last 3 months, so I figured the payoff would be around $4,500 or so, $5,000. If I just send another check for $5,000, we'll be golden. But you go online, they don't have your payoff. It's stupid. They should have a way to look at a payoff. That's weird. But anyway, so you got to call. I guess you got to call so they can try selling you something. I don't know. But I called today and I talked to a nice lady, Jeanette. I think it's Jeanette. And I said, hey, what's my payoff? And she said, $19,000. I said, huh? Nah, man. It's $15,000 I paid you. Where's that money? And she was very helpful, very quick actually on the phone too, in terms of I didn't have to wait. It was great. Maybe it's because of Friday night. I don't know. She goes, we don't have anything. We do have an extra payment of $1,800 last week. I said, I didn't make that. And I had my bank account. Let's look on August 16th and whatnot, $5,000. It cleared the account. She goes, all right, what you got to do is you got to fax us the copy of your unaltered statement. I said, man, I don't have a fax machine. No one's got a fax anymore. She goes, well, could you go up to the UPS store? I said, no, I'm not. She goes, well, you can email it to us, download it as an attachment, and we'll look at it. But it's going to take 72 hours, so that's fine. So I said, this is weird. But anyway, so I got an email to them, which I did. And I got to call back on Wednesday to see what the research has found. Regardless, they got $15,000 on my money just floating around out there. Now, I'm not all that worried about it because I got the proof that they cleared it. But, to be perfectly honest with you, how much energy and effort and annoyance do I have to go through to claim my $15,000? You see what I'm saying? And that's not good. That's not what I wanted to do. I want to have this paid off so I can move on. And this is what the thing about a loan is. If I didn't have this loan, none of this would happen. Now, like I say, I'm actually also proud of myself too because of the efforts I've done here on YouTube and because of you all have had the opportunity to pay down all my debt except for this, which is I should be done by the end of this month, and my mortgage. And that's I can't stress to you how much. And going back to Dave Ramsey, this is why it bothers me with Dave Ramsey allowing himself to leave himself wide open with the silly investment stuff because paying off debt, there is a feeling of just incredible accomplishment that you don't get, and you can't quantify it. how much is that? What's the rate of return equivalent of paying off debt? I don't know. 10%? I don't think so. I mean, for instance, if you had $100,000 in a portfolio and you got 10% return, that's pretty good. That means you have an extra $10,000 in your portfolio. But paying off debt not only means you have less that you're responsible for in terms of if you got laid off, got hit by a car, what if you died, what your wife going to do, but it's also less cash flow out the door that you have to come up with. You know, this lease wasn't that, it's, you know, $350 a month, but it's still $350 a month. That I could do to other things like my M1 finance thing. And, you know, if you all, I've shared before, but the last, you know, since Charlotte and I have been married, and we haven't been, you know, it's been a challenge financially for us. And we've had 4 kids on one income. And for a few of those years, it's working, well, we had 2 kids, but it's just working as a frontline banker and making $35,000 a year. You know, we had a smaller mortgage, a smaller house and whatnot. We had car loan, student loans to take care of, credit cards. You know, before that, when I first started my professional career at Vanguard, 97, 98, something like that, and my first job at Vanguard was making like $18,000 a year. So for them to have, you know, 15,000 of my dollars, obviously, you know, 18,000 bucks in 1998 is equivalent of, we'll say, 30,000 now, but still, you know, that was the equivalent of 6 months of work. Back then, that's a lot of money, man. And I don't like it just floating around there. That's my money. I want it paid towards my debt. It's not, and it will be, but that's the issue. If you can avoid that, you need to avoid that like the plague. The lack of stress at not having debt. You know, and then we got out of, I left banking, went to a salaried broker job for the first 2 years. Spent raising money and raising assets under management to generate fees. And then the markets fell off a cliff in 2007. And what was, at the same time, I went off salary. So now I got no salary, plus my assets under management over between 2007 and 2008 fell by 50%. So now I'm sitting there with 4 kids at this point and not much income, man. And still had carried all my debt. That's stressful. And even when we went to USO, here's this platoon of deer. Even when we went to USAA, we still carried debt. And, you know, what happened is they'd pay a big fat bonus every year. And towards the latter part, the end of my career at USAA, that bonus was pretty nice. So I was able to pay off all my debt except for my mortgage. But then, you know, a couple months later, you start spending up to the level of your income. Everybody does that. What's up, deer? I got no idea what a deer noise makes. Does anybody know? Is it, oh, he took it. Whoa, those things are just graceful, insanely beautiful. So anyway, I got no idea, you know, I mean, you end up spending to your level of income. So at USA, you're like, we'll spend, because come February, we'll get that big fat bonus, we'll pay off everything. That's what we do in America. I do it, you do it. But then come October, November, December, you're like, oh, I just want that bonus because that debt's piling up. And that's not good. And so now it's the first time we've actually, I mean, for a long, long time, getting a handle on this stuff, which is flipping awesome. I can't stress to you how awesome that is. So not to have my $15,000 is annoying. Again, I'm not that concerned with it, but because I'm gonna get it back. But how much aggravation, how much annoyance, you know. It kind of goes back to the whole thing with the mortgage. How do you quantify not having that mortgage in terms of, yeah, you spreadsheet that. The stress of not having a mortgage is worth something. There's a value there. You know, is it worth 3% a year? I don't know, I guess it depends on your level of risk tolerance. But as I get older, my level of risk tolerance for carrying debt declines, which is odd because my level of risk tolerance for stocks is still there. But my level of risk tolerance for carrying debt gradually drops to the point where I don't want it anymore. And just like Fritz was saying, I might not get the arbitrage, you know, I might not get the 7% when I'm borrowing from the bank at 4, might not get that 3%. That 3% isn't worth it to me. I want the relaxation, not have to carry that. All right, I'm gonna do a second video here, talk about a book I'm listening to that you need to get to, so hang tight.